Hi, it's Nicole, and it's the last day of the month, which means it's time for month in review. As a quick recap, Lisa over at Life in Layouts and I both randomly decided to use the Simple Stories for the record collection to do a month in review project, and we both happened to pick 2024 photos to do with this. So links to her channel and her video will be down below, as well as a playlist where you can find all of my month in review content. If you're new here, I personally look at month in review as a way to not get overwhelmed with all of the potential photos that I have to scrapbook. I am someone who tends to take more photos than I could ever possibly scrapbook. I also personally just don't think that every single photo that I take has enough of a meaningful story behind it to dedicate a separate layout for it. So when I learned about month in review years ago, it really just kind of sparked the spot in my brain that was having issues with, what do I do with all of these photos if I don't want to make layouts with them? I love being able to look back and kind of see just a look at that chaotic daily life type thing. So month in review has really solved that kind of dilemma for me. And then normally I absolutely love working on month in review. For some reason, I feel like June, I was just so busy. I was not feeling it. July, I feel like I was a little bit more in the mood for it. I started off in January using a sketch and kind of following that. Each month, I've sort of just embarked on my own, and kind of what I do is I pull through certain things and repeat them each month. So each month I am cutting apart. There's a 6x4 printed cut apart on the back of one of the pattern papers that has the like 3-letter abbreviation for the month, and then it has a good journaling spot with the number. I like to cut those in half. There is also a pack of die cuts that have like a pre-made kind of cluster with a little file folder calendar on it. And then I also have the stickers that say the name of each month. Don't get me wrong, it can be a little bit overkill with how many references to the month show up on this page. But to me, there's not really another use for these items outside of month in review. So I really try to fit as much as I possibly can. With most months, I just kind of settle on either a vertical orientation or a horizontal orientation. I am doing just kind of strips of pattern paper that make sense to me, whatever I'm kind of vibing with that day. I will say I wish, for the record, had a little bit more like muted patterns, only because of this application. Like, I think a lot of the floral prints, a lot of these like big numbers, the cameras, I think that they are really fun for so many different themes. I think just because I'm stuck in this mentality of month in review, and I personally like to mix those bold papers with the more quiet papers, and I don't want to reach for the same patterns every single month. So that's my only thing. I could definitely pull in stuff from my stash, but I don't want to. I want to just stick with this collection and kind of show, how far you can really stretch things like this. I also have been loving, there is a pattern where there's like stripes of squares, and each stripe, you can see right here, is a different color. I've been cutting those apart and using those as kind of a way to get those softer, more muted patterns in here. I love a good like skinny border to break up pattern papers. This is a good method to bring in some pops of color, that kind of thing. And then what I'm doing is, for each month, I'm stitching along the edge of these on the white background paper. So with month in review, I try to find a couple things that will show up on every single layout. That way they can feel cohesive, even if I go off on a tangent, start changing things halfway through the year. I like to have some things that I do every single month. They're going to show up every single month, kind of like a fun little Easter egg or a hidden Mickey or a whatever you want to call it, that type of a thing. So I like to draw pencil lines for my stitching, freehand my holes, and then I only use one strand of DMC, but I fold it in half, so technically it's two. And I use a size 24 tapestry needle, so not the sharp one, it's a little bit blunt. I know others stitch with larger needles and more thread. This is just what I settled on years ago, and it was basically what I was using on 18 count Ada for cross stitch. So it just, it was in my routine. I didn't want to shuffle things up. Keep doing what you know, kind of a thing. I've been doing some sort of a notebook punch border on that journaling. I've saved the formatting for that journaling on Google Docs, so each month I just have to kind of open it up, figure out how much space I need, type up. I don't go super in depth. I kind of think about it like if I was showing somebody this page and I was pointing out the photos, I would just kind of quick bullet points is typically how I approach the journaling. And then I think I talked about it in last month's video, where typically the photos that I put on month in review, I'd say about 75-80% of the time, those photos will not show up in a separate dedicated layout. This one, I did go ahead and include the photo, I think it's in the upper left, of my husband and my son. I am going to do a separate layout for that topic. He went and spent his birthday money, had, a little nerd hobby. Like, the kid was so freaking happy. So I'm definitely going to do a separate layout for that, but I still wanted to kind of include it in the array of the month. And then as far as the photo collage goes, I use Photoshop Elements. I bought it on sale. I've used it for years. What I do is I crop my photos to that original size from the sketch that I pulled in January. So my photos are 1.75 wide by 2 inches high. And then if I have an instance where there's something that I took horizontally on my phone, or I just can't crop it into that aspect ratio, I kind of have to get a little creative with the math. So what I did was I had 2 horizontal ones that I wanted to include. So I had to kind of mess with the crop measurements until they fit. So I just kind of dragged and dropped them onto a blank document, lined everything up, and kind of finessed those 2 at the bottom until I got them close enough. We don't go for perfect on my channel and my layouts. You can often find typos, something that I have done wrong. It's fine. Is the subtitle to my channel. It's fine. We're going for done. We're hoping that if you're watching, you're finding tips and tricks or inspiration, or you're just escaping daily life and watching me move things around. As far as embellishing on stuff like this, I say this all the time. At least with month in review, outside of those things that get repeated each month, I don't really have an embellishing plan. I think I've tried to use florals on every single month just because I have so many, and I just flip back and forth. I kind of start with one type of embellishment, so I go to the sticker book, I go to the sticker sheet, I move through the die cuts, I look at the rub-ons, I look at the brads, pull anything off that I feel like makes sense, I like it, it fits, that kind of thing, and then I'll kind of do like 2 or 3 run-throughs because I have so much of this collection that I'm trying to fit as much on here as I possibly can. Everything in here is really fun. I love the colors. I love a good office motif. I love the fact that everything like I think Lisa mentioned she didn't understand the florals mixed with the office, and I'm like, I don't care. Like, to me, this is a perfect collection for month in review, because to me, month in review is just so chaotic. Nothing necessarily needs to have a rhyme or reason or go together. I just need it to house these photos in a sense. So my layout is complete. I've got some detail shots here. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure to check out Lisa's video down below and the playlist where you can find the rest of this series. And let me know down in the comments below if you've ever tried month in review and kind of what your thought process is for month in review and what goes on yours and what doesn't. So with that, I'm gonna leave you guys here and I will catch you next time. Bye.